welcome to the Q&A episode of Season 1 on Strathclyde Stories. Today we have again Nithi Sevaguru with me, Strathclyde Alumni, answering the frequently asked questions on University of Strathclyde. So let's quickly get started. Welcome, Nithi. Welcome again to the episode number 6. This is going to be Q&A, so I hope you're prepared for the Q&A.
Thank you, and nice to be back again.
So my very first question to you is, why should one go in for the Strathclyde University?
Well, apart from the fact that I went to Strathclyde myself, that of course are the very good reasons, and of course the reputation, the ranking, and their global presence is highly respected in the market, and the industry connects. In fact, one cannot go wrong by going into Strathclyde. To be honest, that's the short answer.
Great. I get it. So nobody gets wrong by choosing Strathclyde. This is what I can say. Let me ask you another one connected to that. There are many programs which I can look forward to, and how to go about choosing one?
Yes, I think what's very important is, of course, one's career direction, very critical. So, what's my career direction is an important decision one needs to look into. And at the same time, looking into where the market is looking for graduates, right? And you need to match this and then see if there are courses which are available, which is going to, match this. Then you are actually in your direction. Universities offer n number of courses. You can't obviously do one after another, year after year, right? It's not going to be possible. What's important is career aspiration plus industry need matching together and seeing what course is available. So asking someone what course I should do is going to be predominantly with what one wants to do, right? So I would say just don't do a course because somebody tells you. Important for you to understand what's available, what's my need, what's the market looking for. And I remember, looking into a caption the other day saying, well, what the industry requires today, for example, is not engineering graduates. What they're looking for is engineers, right? So you can graduate, but are you really an engineer, right? So what's very important is to look for the one that is going to fulfill your need and also the market.
Since Strathclyde isn't top rated, are there any special preparations that students need to do while making their application to the university?
Well, in a sense, if you meet the entry requirements, the university is going to give you the admissions. I mean, there's no such thing as, you are in a race to get into because the number of courses are few. Could be the case in some demanded courses, but in general, if you meet the requirements, you're in. But then again, it's important to understand that if you're going for a master's degree, for example, it's always a 1-year program in the UK, and so it is in Scotland too, and with Strathclyde. And preparing yourself for that master's degree is critical. So if there are things that you can learn prior to your departure, nothing like it.
Great. So there are no special preparations, but there is something which talked about in the earlier episode. That is preparation for the interview in case you're choosing to go for MBA. How about that? Is there something which I need to do about the MBA interview?
Well, most of the time, in interviews, there's always this notion of I should pretend to be whom I'm not, right? And I always say it's best to be who you are, right? And if an admission is not coming from who you are, then you might as well not take it, right? And just decide for yourself it's not for you. Because it's very important for you to feel confident about yourself, what you're really looking for, why you want to do it. It's your aspiration. You are not creating a fiction, right? I mean, this is nonfiction. This is real. You want to do it. And there is a reason as to why you want to do it. Therefore, go for it in the manner in which that you should do. This, I would say, preparation is all about, yes, what kind of questions that they are likely to ask you, what are the things that are on your CV that you need to be prepared to answer, and you've got it all right on that. I don't think there's anything to go wrong in the interview.
In one of the episodes, you said that visa is the one which everybody, ends up with having a roadblock. That is, you don't get the references on time, and that puts you in a situation after you get your admission. Is there something student can do well in advance to prepare themselves to get the references?
Yes, I think this is very important. Important to understand that what's in your control and what's not in your control. What's in your control are the documents that you can prepare yourself, the ones which you can write, the SOP, or past your transcripts, your whatever you've studied before is all in your hand. Now, what's not in your hand is the external references. And these people could be traveling, they could be all over the place, they could have resigned from the company that you earlier worked for. I mean, you probably need to get in touch with them and, kind of follow up and so on and so forth. So I would say that's the critical component, right? Advance, preparation for your references is extremely very important. And pick your references appropriately to the people whom you have worked for before. Either that person could be a boss or it could be a colleague or whomever, ideally someone whom you reported to. And that's best.
All right. So someone wants to reach out to you for reference as an alumni. Would you be open to help them out with a reference?
Well, to be honest, I can't give a reference to a student because I don't know the student in the capacity of work, right? And therefore, it would be inappropriate for me to give a reference. And it's only those people whom I've had familiarity with. If somebody had reported to me and that person is applying for a program at Strathclyde, then sure enough, I can give a reference. But I don't think alumni can give references just because we are alumni. And I don't think that's academically right as well. And I don't think the admissions would look at it very nicely. So it's very important that candidates look for references from the very people that they have worked with in the past or present.
Yeah, that clears one of the myth which usually people will, have that if there is a Strathclyde alumni, they could give me a reference and, I can request one from them. Now, we talked a lot about Glasgow in one of the episodes, and you've been about Glasgow's, I would say, Scotland's culture, most importantly, the culture of Scotland helping out people and all that. So you just said one thing which came up in the discussion, that smart people ask. So could you shed some light on that, please?
Well, when I said smart people ask, all I'm saying is, be prepared to move forward, ask a question. If you really need to ask, and, find a solution for something, go for it. Don't wait for somebody to possibly imagine that you have a doubt and they approaching you, because that's not going to happen. It's very important that you're forthcoming. Don't be fearful about a wrong question, because to me, there is no such thing as a wrong question. It's of all somebody else is exactly having the same question, right? And they would be saying, oh, I was just waiting for that question to come out. So I think it's best to ask so that you will clear your doubts. Whether it's on the academic side or whether it's on the social side, it's still the same thing. So if you're on the road in Scotland, it's unlike London, where people are not going to come towards you and give you an answer. You will see in Glasgow very different people coming forward to you and say, well, say something, you wanted to know something. And and then they're very forthcoming. So it's very friendly in terms of as a society. So I don't think one needs to be fearful about taking that first step to inquire, even on the people on the street, saying, hey, I'm lost, I want to get here. They'll be there to help you.
Now, going back to the application side of things, there is a difference between CV and a personal statement, right? And you highlighted that clearly in Academics Unpacked episode. Could you shed light on the differences between the CV and the personal statement, please?
Sure. In brief, all I would say is CV is history, personal statement is futuristic, right? There is nothing on your CV that you can imagine about what of your future, except the fact that you're probably talking about a career objective, which could be futuristic, right? But other than that, everything else that you put on your CV is about the past, what you have done. The personal statement is actually, from an academic point of view, the university wants to know, why do you wish to do this course? How is this connecting to your past and future? And if there is a diversion, why are you looking at this diversion? Why are you looking for a change? It doesn't mean that you can't look for a change. Of course you can. And they're asking you, why do you want to see that? What's in you? So it's very aspirational. Nobody is going to come back to you 5 years later after you graduate in a year's time and ask you, hey, you remember you said this in your personal statement. I don't, how have you, got there? But, it's aspirational. Things that you are putting a map for yourself, it doesn't mean that you would surely achieve, but might take longer, might not fully happen, but you have an aspiration. And it's very important to have that. So I think if people who are applying for stuff really have struggle on this one, I'm very happy if they get in touch with me. There is a guideline as to how you can actually write a personal statement so that we can actually help them.
That makes things clear. Now, the very last episode we did, where you talked about the career services or the career support, which is being offered in the Strathclyde, and you clearly said that this is not something which we have here in India, which is called placement, job placements in college. What are the key differences to make sure a student understand that a job placement and a career service from the university like University of Strathclyde is way different in overall, the I would say the outlook and the way it has been delivered to the students.
Right. So let me put it this way. While universities are looking into, in some sense, mass production, say, for example, there are 40 people coming out of a particular degree, there are 80 people out of another degree, could be some sort of a mass production some way or the other. But the career services does not see it in that way. They see every individual graduating with a particular aspiration. That's the reason why the career services acts very different. You are expected to approach them and telling them, this is exactly what I want to carve out for myself, which could be very different from what your neighbor is thinking about in your own class, right? So it's not
Right.
about, a company coming in and all the 20 people out here, we're going to go and push them into that company. No, that's not it. There may be some companies that might not be suitable for you at all, right? Because there's the personality issue, there is your aspirations in terms of the direction that you want to go into, maybe not the kind of work companies that you worked for in the past, you want to make a change. So where do you discuss all that? That's where the placement office actually comes in, and they are just nailing down and working with you with regard to what you need to put on your CV.
I get it. Talking about this a little further, are there any networking events targeted towards students where alumni and students can interact for networking?
Oh, yes. I think there are various forums that are available, not necessarily with regard to alumni interactions, but I think there's a lot of industry interactions that happen. Alumni interactions, of course, is easy because you can always get in touch with an alumni through various forums. And say, well, you're in this particular chapter and I connect with you. I'm planning to come and work in this country and I would like to get in touch with people. I mean, of course you can. But during the course of the degree, it's important to also attend some of these industry talks that happen. Many of them are online these days, worth attending to. And I think I did mention in one of the episodes, there's in fact so much happening that you need to have a calendar and have a notebook and really write it down there and saying, okay, which are the ones that I must attend to because I can't afford to miss it. So I think it's very important that 1 year of a master's program, if one is involved in, is going to be quite extensive, and therefore it's best to plan. So there are a number of events that actually happen. There are companies who come and say, well, why is it worthwhile working for us? What does it mean for us? What are we looking for? Some of those I think it's really useful. And Strathclyde being one of the prominent universities right into the good on the top of the league, you obviously have good companies coming forward and saying, well, I'd like to meet students from this university.
Great. Now, moving on to the next one, is there a chance to connect with Strathclyde alumni like you, let's say for an aspiring student?
Of course, of course. I mean, we're always there, and this happens continuously. Some of them do connect, out of LinkedIn or, in whichever form they get in touch with us. And we are definitely very happy and more than happy to actually talk about the university, talk about its facilities, and even their decision making might be perhaps made simpler and easier if they do talk to an alumni who came out of the university.
That is how. How does the decision making become more easier when they talk to alumni?
Well, you see, it's like the comfort, right? I mean, well, the student has done a similar kind of a program like mine and is in a respectable company working at this moment. So, how wrong can I go? I mean, so, all of these things are something that bothers somebody when they are going for a study because they have an intention to work and, get their cost of investment recovered and all of that stuff. So, when they actually talk to people who have graduated and working in the industry, then the confidence level definitely, goes up and makes them decide, great idea. I don't think I'm going to make a mistake.
All right. So here's the last one for you. Throughout the season, you talked a lot about Strathclyde and your own personal experience. Would you like to share something which you are not shared before about your personal experience at Strathclyde University?
Oh, right. Well, I don't know if I've actually, you know, spoken about a couple of things on a social angle component because one of the things that was always an interesting challenge to me, of course, the Scottish accent, right? And that was definitely a bit of a surprise to me, more than a surprise, to be honest. And that was, the starter. And but you tend to think in the beginning, oh my God, survive this, and then you realize in about a week or two or three, you're kind of getting. So I think the surprise can come the bit of and that was my part of the experience. Uh, but then again, and I think it's lovely.
Okay, so that's a wrap for the Q&A episode. I think we had a great season one. Thank you, Nidhi, for sharing your valuable inputs and insights as a Strathclyde alumni. It has been great connecting with you. I would say about higher education from University of Strathclyde. If you'd like to share a few words, please go on.
To the students who are aspiring to go to Strathclyde, you're not making a mistake. That's the very simple sentence that I would like to say. Because graduates of Strathclyde are well across the world, and therefore there is nothing to really fear about. All that you really need to think about is the course that's going to connect to your career. That's the only thing for you to really think about. Is the university a good decision or not? Close your eyes.
All right. That's a great, parting words you have for the season one for the listeners and viewers. Thank you very much. Let's meet in the special episode or upcoming season and take things forward. Thank you for your time and thank you for your valuable inputs, Nidhi.
Pleasure is equally mine.